Well, good morning and welcome to the Mayor's Weekly. Week before last, we told you that we would be away last week in connection with working on some grants that were in process for the city. And what I'll tell you is last week was a very, very productive week in the way of grants. And what we'll do is next week on the Mayor's Weekly, we'll be here to give you a summary of those grants, and I think you'll find it very interesting, grant levels that maybe we've never seen in our city. But also what we told you week before last is that we would be here today to talk about the 4-point plan, and that's what we want to do. And I don't want to dwell on the 4 points. It's been publicized far and wide, but the 4 points are this. We'll build a new city hall, we'll build a sportsplex, we'll spend $5 million on paving, and we'll make a $2 million provision for industrial development. And that was first presented to our council on the 19th day of July of 2021, and it's taken time, a little more time than I would like, but we finally able to wrap it up and have a unanimous approval by the council to move forward on making these things a reality in our city. And these are things that will pay dividends far, far into the future. I'm excited about that. And what I asked Kathy, our Chief Financial Officer, City Clerk, she and I both have worked on the backside of this, to have a plan, but a plan that involves $25 million. You have to have a plan to make that work. You just so that's where we're at. So I've asked Kathy to talk about that to the extent she'd like to talk about it, but we've been working for some time on it. It's been a good bit of time over the last 3 weeks. So Kathy, share with the folks what's going on and how we're making this a reality.
Well, Mayor, we have been working on it for several weeks now. The first thing that you and the Jasper City Council did was to hire an underwriter, which is Raymond James, and we've been working with one of their representatives. We had to go through the phase of getting our $25 million bond issue rated with Standard & Poor's. That rating has been issued and got a very good rating for the city of Jasper, one that we believe won't be long until we can take back to them and will be even upgraded further than what we were this time.
And that's very good, because that impacts more things than you think about as people look at the city, and that's a pretty good indicator of how you're running your city. Wouldn't you agree, Kathy?
Well, absolutely. And our POS has been issued. It was issued yesterday.
Tell the folks what POS stands for.
That's our preliminary offering, statement of offering.
Right.
And so it is out. And so what's happening this week is our underwriter is beginning to make calls to agencies that buy bonds, big banks or investment companies, and asking what price would they be willing to pay for these bonds. We have this really good rating, which is helping that pricing. I will say that Moody's investors did indicate that one of our biggest strengths, and I'm looking at their credit opinion report that is now released, is that we have a robust and improved reserve and liquidity. So a very, very good strength. Our reserves, we also have reserves outside of the general fund. We have a projected operating surplus for fiscal year 2021 and a growing economy. So all great things for the city of Jasper.
Well, Kathy, you know that we and what we do every day is always going. We're always going to have critics, and more times than not, those criticisms are without merit. And generally what you see is people are talking about things they don't understand, and people say, well, why would you want a bunch of money in the bank or whatever? What I shared with one of the credit analysts is we were talking with Moody's is asking about our reserves, whatever. I spent 38 years in the banking business. In those 38 years, I never saw any money go bad in the bank. It was always there when you needed it, and so then a friend, the gentleman that I worked for, John Oliver, talked a lot about truisms, and one of the things he used to say is an entity with a dollar is better off than an entity without a dollar. A lot of truth in that. So I'm glad we've got some money.
I am too, and that really paid dividends as we're trying to make this issue.
Right.
So, the bonds are he's getting pricing for our bonds. And Mayor, what we are hearing now is that next week, probably Friday of next week, we will ask the Jasper City Council to call a special meeting, which then at that time, those bonds will be sold to those individuals that have provided the best pricing on them. We will receive $25 million, but our actual debt will be what we believe to be less than that. And somewhere our projections now are anywhere from about 21.5 million to 22. Could be a little more than that now, because we know the market has slid some on us.
Yeah. Well, Kathy, and you know this far better than most, that the mechanics of public finance and the bond market and that sort of thing. But why does that happen? And having a good bond rating, there's a really, really healthy appetite out there for quality municipal bonds. Why those bonds, the investors that buy those bonds, they don't pay any federal income tax on those interest that they earn on those bonds. So there's a big appetite out there. So to put it in very simple terms, as I was talking to our council about it, we'll put a dollar's worth of bonds out here in the market, just to keep it simple. And what will happen, we know is going to happen, the market will pay us something greater than a dollar.
Exactly.
For our dollar's worth of bond. So it's a windfall to the city. What we know is this, as Kathy shared, we're more than certain of this range of the premium that will be paid on these bonds. And if it comes in like we expect, probably that windfall alone will pay for 3/5 of the new city hall, which is a $5 million project. Well, you don't have to be a mathematician to figure out that's a pretty good deal. Now, Kathy, what I think we know that the rate that we'll pay probably be in the mid 1% range is the best estimate, and that's pretty cheap. One of the things that's helping us is as bonds go, this issue is a short duration. What, 9 years?
About 9 years. We've got the sunset provision in there, that the tax that we increased, which was a ½ cent, which goes into effect February the 1st, next Tuesday, will be eliminated unless it is renewed by the Jasper City Council.
Now, Kathy, one of the things that's always, interests me is people's opinion. Taxes never go away. And I know Facebook is a place where people oftentimes publish their lack of knowledge on a subject. Taxes never go away. Well, Kathy, what we know, I've read it, you've seen it, and it was one of the things when I recommended the plan for the structure of this. This tax will go away. The ordinance is written, and if you have questions about that, if you'll come here, Ms. Shamliss will give you a copy of the ordinance. Now, 8 years down the road when this sunset, the city and council then, might pass another tax order, but this tax will die, won't it?
It certainly will when the last debt is paid on this issue.
Right, and what this does, so many times when sales tax increases come about, is to shore up some shortfall. We're in a financial jam or that sort of thing. Nothing further from the truth. We had our best operating year in 140-something year of this city in 2021. What this money does, it doesn't give Kathy or any city employee a raise. It puts tangible goods up on the table for the residents of this city, and that's why we should run the city. And that's all it does, is it not?
That's all it does.
Right. So, we're excited to get this wrapped up. We have established committees that 3 committees for one for the athletic facility, one for the city hall, and one for paving. Those committees will be headed by salaried employees of the city. Those leaders will have council members coupled with them to get these projects moving, kicked off, planning. When you think about spending $25 million, this is not like building your normal house. This is take a lot of work, a lot of planning, and we, without question, we have to get it right in all aspects. And having salaried employees of the city lead the committees ensures a control mechanism that we can use to make sure things move along as they should move along. Kathy will head up the City Hall Committee. We were asked just yesterday how long, and I said it's probably the best we could offer would be a wild guess. I won't say a calculated guess or whatever, but I would say that based on what we know now, we've hired the architect, that 18 months could be reasonable. Would you agree with that, Kathy?
I hope so, and I think it's reasonable. I don't think it'll be any sooner than that.
Yeah.
Considering all the material and problems of getting.
Right. Exciting times for the city of Jasper. It's drawing an awful lot of attention coming out of Montgomery last week. We worked on the grants and talked to the leadership in Montgomery. What we heard, and I don't think it was a patronizing thing, I think it was genuinely sincere, is that those folks said, we're hearing a lot of good things about Jasper, and what we're seeing, when they see that we're running our city right, they have a greater inclination to help us. And when we share with you next week about the grants that we received last week, I think any reasonable person will have to say, well, there's something to that. You agree?
I do, sure do.
Good. So we're pleased to have you with us. A lot of stuff on the table. If you have questions, write to us, call us, whatever. And if you think that this tax won't go away, come here. We'll put you right here at this table where it's comfortable. It's a comfortable chair. And Ms. Shamus will give you a copy of the ordinance, and we'll let you read it, and you can ask us questions. And just a casual pass through that ordinance, you'll see that this tax will sunset. Okay, so glad to have you with us, and again, we'll look forward to being with you next week. And the subject next week is the grants that we receive. Thank you.